I'm Realtor Nick Bellmore, and this is your guide to pre-approval versus pre-qualification. Okay, so we've gotten some questions, and a lot of buyers have been kind of asking me as they start their journey, Nick, what is the difference between pre-approval and pre-qualification? Because I know I've got to go out and get this process started. So I want to touch on that subject for a moment, the difference, why they're important, and how we use them as tools in our purchase of a new home. So let's start off with pre-qualification. And if we had to truly boil down the difference between these two things, one of them is just simply more thorough than the other. The pre-qualification is typically our first step. Now, the pre-qualification typically comes down to running a credit report from a loan rep and also taking a look at their debt to income ratio, usually on some type of statement that they have filled out or application that they've filled out. So usually at this point, they are being taken at their word as far as what they owe and what they have coming in. Then they start to use that to determine the debt to income ratio. If that falls into alignment with the qualifications for the loan and the credit score also matches up, a lot of lenders at that stage will begin to issue a pre-qualification. And this is a great first step. There's definitely nothing wrong with having a pre-qualification. However, when we start to get to the pre-approval, now we're in a little bit of a different type of territory. And here's the reason why. Beyond just the simple credit report, which is definitely an important piece, besides just the application point, now we are typically looking at the bank verifying these numbers. So a lot of times what they're looking at is tax returns so that they can verify the income stated on the application. They're oftentimes also looking at bank statements to make sure that they have the funds to close and the funds for the down payment. They're also diving into the credit balances beyond just what was on the application and verifying that those are correct, as well as the payment, so that the ratio for debt to income is absolutely going to be within reason for the qualification of whatever program they might be looking at the moment. So often it's even been taken to the step of being reviewed by an underwriter who would then issue that pre-approval subject to a satisfactory appraisal. Obviously, a lot of things can be looked into on the buyer, but the bank also has to make sure that the home qualifies as far as safety, as far as value, and all those other pieces that go into a mortgage. So in the end, if we know as a buyer that we are into this process and we want to move forward, a pre-qualification is a great start. But when we're serious about buying a home, a pre-approval is the step that we need to move to. It puts us in the position where a lot of the research is done and way less surprises could possibly come up in the transaction going forward. If you have more questions about pre-approval versus pre-qual or any of the other subjects that we've touched on the channel, feel free to send me a message and I would love to get your questions answered or make a video about the topic if it's something we haven't covered.